Hey guys, it's Laura. Welcome back to another video. Today's video concept is an attempt to get me, first of all, hopefully back into reading fantasy, but also to get me excited about the books on my shelf. Because as we all know, if you've been here for a while, you know I love buying books. I get distracted by shiny new things, and specifically shiny new books, and so I'm constantly buying new books and reading those new books and forgetting about the books that are on my shelf. Today's video is the start of a new series. I'm going to be starting off with the fantasy genres, but future videos will have other genres in them, and this is going to be a list of my top 10 fantasy books that are on my physical TBR. So there may be more books out in the world, more fantasy books that are higher on my priority to read list, but I don't own them. So this is all about books that I own, the top 10 on my physical TBR, and hopefully this will get me excited to prioritize them instead of new books. And hopefully you can help me to do that by talking about them in the comments if you've read them. So let's go ahead and get started. This is not in any particular order, like they're not ranked or anything like that. First book we're gonna talk about is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. Yes, I have not read this yet. This was one of my most anticipated books of the year. Still haven't gotten to it. I'm not gonna say that I'm intimidated by the size, but I think I'm intimidated by the size. I know that Sarah J. Maas's books are really easy to get into, really easy to read, but I still look at it and how big it is and just keep putting it off. So this is definitely one of the books I really want to get to as soon as I get back into reading fantasy. This book is a continuation from the Court of Thorns and Roses series. In this book we are following Nesta, who is not the best character really, and I'm really excited to see how Sarah J. Maas kind of flips that and makes us root for Nesta, because I know that that is something she does really, really well. And also I'm just excited to learn more about Nesta and hopefully feel differently about her once I read this book. So I've heard amazing things. Like, people who do not love Sarah J. Maas or do not love this particular genre have read this and loved it. So like, I feel like I'm gonna absolutely fall in love with this book. I cannot wait to get to it. I just haven't yet. So this is definitely one of the ones on my TBR that I'm the most excited to get to. The next book we have here is the start of a new series for me, and that is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. So this is a book that for the past 2-3 years now, however long it's been out, I have been super interested in and just have never picked up. In fact, was interested in reading this book. The author came out with another book, which was Sawkill Girls. I read that before I read this one. Absolutely loved it, loved her writing, loved her character work, loved everything about that book. As soon as I read it, I was like, oh my goodness, I need to read more from Claire Legrand. Realized that I had another book by her on my shelf, still haven't gotten to it yet. So I need to do that. I don't exactly know what this is about. It follows two young women who are like 1,000 years apart, but connected in some way. It also has, I believe, like angels and demons in it as well. I'm not exactly sure, but I've been really excited to read this for quite some time and still haven't picked it up yet. Really excited about this, and I don't want to keep forgetting about it like I have been. Empire of Sand by Tasha Suri. This is another one that I've heard just absolutely amazing things about. I believe that this is Middle Eastern inspired. It's a desert fantasy, which I've recently learned is something that I absolutely love. So that is what originally attracted me to this book. I also know that it has a female-female romance, and I believe the synopsis mentions something about gods. Yeah, it says a nobleman's daughter with magic in her blood, an empire built on the dreams of enslaved gods. Anytime there's a mention of gods in a fantasy synopsis, that is one of my buzzwords. I'm super excited to learn more about this book. Honestly, if I wasn't in such a fantasy slump right now, I would probably pick this up. But I don't want to pick up any of these while I'm in that fantasy slump, because I want to give them, you know, the best shot possible. And I know that if I'm not in the mood for fantasy, even if these are amazing books, they're not gonna do well with me in my current mood. But as soon as I get into that mood, I'm gonna pick this up. I'm so excited about it. Hopefully I love it. Do let me know if you've read this down in the comments and what you thought of it. I'm really excited to get to this one. The next book I have here is Blood Witch by Susan Dennard, which I should be picking up soon anyway, because this is part of the Witchland series by Susan Dennard. It is the third book in that series, and I have been following the Witchlands along. That is hosted by Jade from JD Ray Reads, reading a book a month until the new book comes out. The next book comes out next month, I think, like in the middle of the month. And I'm actually thinking about reading this a little bit sooner than that if I can. But this world is absolutely stunning. The first book in this series, Truth Witch, I read last year. One of my favorite books of the year. It has a lot of elemental magic, which I absolutely love. It has a beautiful female friendship centered in that first book between Safi and Isolde. I love the writing, I love the humor, I just loved everything about that world, that series. So I definitely want to get to this very soon, which I should be able to do. But because of my whole fantasy slump thing, I don't know if it's gonna work for me anytime soon. So this, honestly, this is probably gonna be the first book that I pick up off of this list once I get back into that mood, because I need to read it. And the new book is coming out, and I'm really excited about that. So Blood Witch is definitely probably the highest priority on this list. The next book that I have here is Legendborn by Tracy Dion. This is a book that I've just heard nonstop amazing things about. I've heard so many people, it seems like everyone who has read this has absolutely loved it. This is a new young adult urban fantasy. We're following a main character named Bree, is that her name? Yeah, Bree Matthews. She witnesses this magical attack, and then these people come, they try to wipe her memory of it, but instead of wiping her memory, they actually unlock her own magic that has been hidden in her or something like that. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that this uses Arthurian legend as the basis for its magic system, or at least one of the magic systems in the story, and I am really excited about the idea of just falling in love with another YA urban fantasy. I've heard this compared to like the Shadowhunter world, which you guys know is one of my absolute favorite series, or sagas at this point, and so I'm just really excited to pick this one up. The next book that I have on my list is not actually this book. This is The Kingdom of Gods by N.K. Jemisin. This is the third book in the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. You guys probably know by now that N.K. Jemisin is one of my favorite authors of all time. I've only read the Broken Earth trilogy by her and The City We Became, and after those books, I just know. And this is a series that I really want to start and finish this year. I don't have the first book yet, which is why I'm holding up the third book. The first book is called The 100,000 Kingdoms, I believe, and I really want to get a copy of that and read it. I think the only reason I haven't yet is because I found the third book first, and it has this beautiful cover. This is the old covers, and I know that the series got new covers and I wanted them to match, so I was trying to find the old covers for the first and second books. Haven't been able to find them, unfortunately, so I'm just gonna have to go ahead and buy the new covers and just get over the fact that the series is not gonna match now. But it's fine, it's fine. I don't know too much of what this is about, and I can't read the back of this because I don't want to be spoiled for the first book. But of course, we have gods and mortals, and you know, I just mentioned that that is a buzzword for me when it comes to fantasy, and it's N.K. Jemisin, so I know it's going to be amazing. I know it, because N.K. Jemisin has not let me down yet. My plan this year was to read absolutely everything by N.K. Jemisin. I haven't gotten started on that at all, and we're almost halfway through the year, so I really need to get on that. This is a huge priority for me. The next book I have here is one that for years I have been interested in. I have been hearing things about this for years. I think when I first discovered BookTube, people were talking about this book. I have been dying to read it ever since and never picked it up. I do not know why, but the third book in the series, I believe, is either coming out very soon or has already come out. And that is The Last Magician by Lisa Maxwell. This is another YA fantasy. I know that this has like magical time travel in it. Our main character is able to time travel. It also takes place in New York, and I think our main character travels back in time to like the 1920s, or it takes place in the 1920s. I remember something about the 1920s, but now that I'm looking at the synopsis, I don't think that that's correct. All of Esther's training has been for one final job, traveling back to 1902 to steal an ancient book. Okay, so 1902. That's not the 20s, but it's fine. I'm really excited for this book. I've heard amazing things, like I've said, and the third book is coming out. I think it's going to be a 4-book series. So if I start this now, hopefully I'll be able to finish the series soon. So yeah, this is one that, like I said, has just been on my radar for so long. And I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm determined to pick it up before the end of the year. All of these books, actually, because they're so high on my priority list, definitely need to get to them before the end of this year. So that is the goal with this list. Okay, 3 more to go. We have The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. This is one that I recently picked up and one that recently came out. This is a highly political, military-inspired fantasy. We're following Terrain, I think her name is, who is a soldier. She was stolen as a child and raised to kill and die for the empire that has conquered her people. And then we're also following Luca, who is trying to get her uncle off of her throne. And I believe the two of them work together. I believe this has a female-female romance, and I've heard amazing things about it. It is also North African inspired, I believe, which is another thing that really excites me about this book. So I am super excited to read this. I think that I might be buddy reading this with Tasha from Mood Reads with Tasha. We haven't like set a date or anything, but we did mention buddy reading this together. So this might be something that I read soon-ish. So really excited about that. Second to last, we have The Poppy War by Rf Huang. This is another one that I've heard non-stop amazing things about since the time it came out. And I've had this on my shelf, this book, for a couple of years now and still haven't gotten to it. And I don't understand why. This is a Asian inspired adult fantasy. I hear that it is very brutal, that it is very intense, that it is gruesome at times. It deals with a war and it doesn't shy away from showing the effects of war. And we're following a young girl named Rin, and I believe Rin is going to this very prestigious military academy, and then war breaks out. So I'm excited to read this one because I've just heard amazing things. I remember hearing somewhere that the Poppy War series is going to be adapted into a TV show or something like that, which also sounds really exciting. So I don't know if I like made that up or not, but I think I heard that. So I'm really excited to get into it, and hopefully I can do that soon. I would really love to just binge read the entire series this year. That is the plan if I end up loving the first book. So yeah, The Poppy War is another one that I need to get to ASAP. And then the final book that I have on my list is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. Another one that I cannot believe I haven't read yet. I have been so intrigued by this for such a long time. We're following our main character, Nahri, and I believe she is somewhat of a con woman, and she accidentally summons a Jinn warrior and then gets caught up in a bunch of Jinn politics. She's taken to the city of the Jinn, and it just sounds like everything I'm going to love. I absolutely love those Middle Eastern desert-inspired fantasies. Those are my favorite fantasies to read, and I'm just really hoping that I absolutely love this because I've heard amazing things. So I need to get on this. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get to this book. Another one that I want to binge read the entire series before the end of the year because all 3 books are out. So I really have no excuse. It's definitely doable. So there you have it. Those are the top 10 fantasy books on my TBR. I really hope that I can get to all of these before the end of the year. It's a lot considering that like all of these are books in a series. So, and I definitely want to read through the entire series if all the books are out already. And that is probably ambitious and a lot, but I'm pretty sure that I can do it. So do let me know down in the comments if you have any thoughts or opinions. Please let me know if you've read them and loved them. Just like build up the excitement and the hype for me down in the comments so that it will encourage me to want to pick these books up as soon as possible. But that is going to be it from me today. So if you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.